So I should be trying to sleep, but I can't sleep. So I get these ideas and these things thoughts in my mind, and people just get me irritated. My brain does not want to shut down because I'm just it's like this stuff, and I get irritated with the way people think. Do I have an anger problem? No, I don't. I have a problem with just what I call righteous anger because of this shit that I see going on every day and how people are just, there's so many selfish people in the world. And there's just, it's not a problem people are selfish. It's a problem that we're justifying selfishness 24/7. I don't give a damn if it's all this music and shit about, basically telling people to do what they want to do. And it's the attitude out there, basically. And we wonder why kids are messed up. More reasons we don't put the kids first. You got kids being raised by drug addicts and shit. And that's the thing. Let me start because I'm going to say some stuff and it's probably going to be wrong and piss people off and I'm probably going to look like an asshole and I don't care. I'm sitting here in bed, so who gives a shit? I'm a dumbass sitting in bed making a fucking video. So here's the deal. Since I was a child, a baby, I was even too young to know. My life, every year of my life, I've been surrounded by some kind of addict, either in my family or loved ones or whatever. There's been an addict in my life every year of my life since I was alive. I have had one after another, whether it's aunts, uncles, cousins, my children, my wife, or my loved ones. I've had people with addictions in my life, my entire life. Okay? Now, I know that don't make me smart about it or expert because, I'm almost half a century old. And some kid can go to school and they can read a goddamn book that a man wrote. And they can read that book and it goes, no, you don't really know about addiction, Tony. You don't know nothing about it. I do. I've been to school. I passed my test. I read this book by a man that wrote it. And I know everything about it. And your views on addiction, your views on people who are addicts is completely wrong because my 25 or 22 or 21 or whatever, 20, this, that fucking ass went to a school. And I know more than you'll ever know. So you need to stop and listen to the experts. Okay. If I had been given surgery, and I never went to school, but I was given surgery for, 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years. I was doing fucking surgery and I had survived all these people had surgeries and I experienced them. I sat there and watched somebody do surgery for 30, 40 years. I could say I have seen it and I know a little something about it. And somebody who went to school for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever, that had never seen surgery before, they would, I guess, be more qualified than me, although I had seen it, listened to it, observed it. Maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I was watching. My dad was a surgeon, or I watched him do surgery every day from the time I was a baby. Watched my dad do surgery, saw the results, saw what happened. Every day, watched that man do surgery on patients and bringing patients to the house. And he did surgery out of the house. He was a doctor. He operated out of the house. And I watched the man do surgeries on people every day. Let's say I did that. And I've done it since childhood. And I'm a middle-aged man. And then somebody goes to school and spends those 4 years of school and they get out and they've seen one or two, but they know more than me about it. So how that would work? Because this is how it works when it comes to drug addicts. And we got a lot of homeless people right now. And yeah, a lot of them are on drugs. Whether you want to admit it or not. We talk about helping the homeless. We don't talk about how we really help the homeless. Now, the big thing that you're going to get is a guilt trip. And you know what? People don't need a guilt trip. People need reality. And people don't like reality. It's not your truth. That's a fucking way of saying fuck you. That's your truth. When somebody says that's your truth, what that means is you're fucking in your own fucking world. Well, guess what? When it comes to that shit, that's your truth that you don't experience. You don't even have a truth because If you're going to get in my face and tell me it's my truth, then apparently you haven't experienced any of it. So you ain't got no truth. All you got's a speculation. That's your speculation. Okay? Because when I speak on something, I don't talk about nothing I don't know. Which is why I don't talk about football. Because I don't watch football. Am I gay? No. But I don't like football. I don't watch it. Okay? Now, I don't care if you like football. Fuck it. But I don't give a damn about it. And I don't talk about it. Do I? Because I don't fucking know nothing about it. I know more about it than I'd like to admit. And I know a lot of football players because I know I've worked on their homes. I know probably more pro football players and have spoke to them and know them on a first name basis and know their families than the average football fan. Because I do work for football players, but I don't watch the sport. And the last person to tell you, if I did, I could tell you everything about it. Just like I can guns. So I fuck with guns, yes. But I don't mess with sports. So I don't tell you about sports because I don't know a damn thing about it. Now some sports, boxing. I know a little bit about boxing, things like that. Other sports, but not football because I've never been a football fan. I'm talking about American football. Not the people call it soccer, football. If that's because I do have Italian people that know me on here. So no, I'm not talking about your stuff. Now, that said, okay, I'm not going to speak on something I don't know a little bit about or have an experience because my whole reason for speaking on anything is to share experiences because some of us have shared experiences and if we don't share, we're some people are completely alone in their life because they don't share or have a way to share experiences. So I'm going to do this. So let's start here. I see these memes going around about how we judge the homeless or the drug addicts, and they're judged all the time. And they're talking about how bad people we are because we judge them and we talk about them and we don't have any compassion and blah, 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 blah. And maybe that's true. I know I've given a good damn chunk of my life to people who are addicts. I know I've given a good damn bunch of shit and taken a lot of shit from addicts and people who sell drugs and people who mess with drugs and people who mess with alcohol. And I've almost been killed because of it many times. And I've had a lot of pain because of it. And guess what? Never been an addict. But I've had a shitload of loss, pain, suffering, struggling, and bad things happen to me because of other people's addictions. So maybe I got a little bit of skin in the game there. So you see this thing that talks about you don't understand, basically. And the people that I've seen 4 or 5 people put this meme up, but they mean well, they're good folks. Most people who put this kind of shit up are great people. Can't help it that it pisses me off because they don't understand it the way I do. Because they haven't lived, maybe whatever. Maybe they've been the addict and they see it from an addict's point of view and I get it. Okay? But the point is like this. The whole point that we hear all the time when you're with an addict is this. It's like, you don't understand. You can never understand. You don't have our disease. You don't have what we got. You can't understand what we go through. You don't understand what I have to deal with. I have to get up every day. Okay, so you basically, I do, okay, I get it. Okay, I get the whole thing you're trying to say. You're like a dog. You're like a fucking rescue dog. Okay, what you're saying to me is, number one, you're addicted and that's who you are. It's always going to be who you are. You have a disease. Okay. Boom. There you go. You may not be able to house, clothe, or feed yourself without the help of others. Because a lot of you can't. So a lot of you are homeless. Okay. You don't need any of that stress on you. You don't need the stress of people not judging you, not helping you get what you need to live, whether it's you should be getting. We owe you housing, food, shelter. You need all that because you're suffering out there because you are so sick with having a need for a drug or whatever, alcohol. You need it so badly that you shouldn't have to bother yourself with little stressful things that the average person has to deal with. You are not, you don't qualified to be out here having, now you might be able to get a job or something like that, but don't expect because of your sickness, you may not be able to show up for your job or you may not be able to perform your job as you should. And that's okay because you have a sickness. So we have to overlook that. But meanwhile, the rest of us have to do what we have to do because, of course, we're stronger than you, so we have to. And we have to provide for you. We should all be providing housing, the ability for you to not have to deal with stress. All you should ever do is be like a dog. A dog comes in, the food's in the dish. Dogs should never not have a master, a person feeding them. Dogs should have clean food and water and love and be petted and all that at all times. You bring a dog in a house, you're supposed to give the dog everything the dog needs to survive. Why is this? Because it's a dog. It's a dog. You take the dog in and you're supposed to care for the dog. The dog can't do it. The dog has no ability to get their own housing. They can go find shelter if you let them loose, but they can't be out in the they shouldn't have to be out in the elements. They shouldn't have to scrounge for food. Yeah, they can go find some food on their own, but they shouldn't have to. You should be the one getting that food. You should be the one assuring there's food and water and everything else. And it doesn't matter, okay, what the dog could do. That's a healthy dog. It doesn't matter because that dog, you are responsible for that dog. And that's the way drug addicts are putting themselves in that position. I ain't doing it because they're telling me if I'm at a point I can't get housing and food and shelter and all that, it's not my fault. That's what we're being told. It's not their fault because they are sick and they have to have somebody else provide that for them. Because when I see how else are you supposed to take that when you've got everybody out here saying they're on drugs, they're homeless, but you got to have compassion for them. Okay, here's my compassion. My compassion. Okay, you shouldn't have to get, so that's what you're saying to me. No, you wouldn't get them help in rehab. Okay, but they go to rehab year after year after year. I've lived this my whole life. They go to rehab. And if they go to rehab and then they get back on drugs, we're still supposed to understand when they hit that street that they still need, what are we supposed to do then? Put them back in, no, we're not supposed to lock them up for anything, of course. We're not supposed to, when they rob houses or steal or do whatever, we're supposed to understand they're sick. So we're not supposed to punish them for crimes either, but we're supposed to take them. This is the message I'm getting, okay? This is the message I'm getting. We're not supposed to do that either, and we're supposed to make sure that if they get out, we're supposed to help them the best we can, understand. But if they slip up again and they fuck up again and they do this, we're still supposed to make sure we can't write them off. We still got to make sure they got food, water, shelter. Everything goes their way. We've got to maintain these people because that way they're not homeless on the street, shitting on the street and doing drugs in the street, leaving dirty needles in the street. Can't do that. We've got to, for us to keep them out of there, we're responsible. This country should be, these people, we should all be responsible for those people because God knows we ain't got stress. We ain't got nothing to worry about. We're out here supporting our family, but it comes easy for us. So what's wrong with this picture? Let me tell you what's wrong with it. Let me tell you. We don't understand you. We don't understand you and your problems because if we ain't thinking like that, if we're not thinking about how to get you in housing, if we're not thinking how to get you rehab, if we're not thinking how to get you help, if we're not thinking how to feed you, clothe you, shelter you, make sure you're not in the streets, then we got no reason to complain about you being out there taking a shit in the street because we're judging you. And we are not supposed to do that at all. We're not supposed to judge or look down on you for you doing this stuff because we're wrong for that and we're evil and we're mean and we're heartless because we're supposed to understand at all times that what you're doing is something you can't change. It's something you can't help. And you may be able to get help for it at a rehab or counseling or whatever, but you're still all times, at any given time, apt to go back. And when you do, we got to understand that. What the real problem is. You know what the real problem is? It ain't that we don't understand. It's that you motherfuckers don't understand. And you people coming up with this shit don't understand. Because what you don't understand is, okay, this is the thing. When you think the way you think, I got you. I understand you pretty damn good. If you change drugs with chocolate chip cookies, and if you got a motherfucker or cigarettes or any silly, which is nicotine's a drug, but let's say if somebody come up and ask you for cookies and they're 500 pounds, could you give me some food? Give me some food. You're like, you're going to kill yourself. You're 500 pounds. You don't need any food. You're not going to feel sorry for that person. Well, I'm out here trying to walk door to door trying to get Girl Scout cookies or something, and I'm 400 pounds waddling and I can't breathe. Okay, so, but is that person, yeah, that person's got a disease. They're sick too of obesity. But we're not going to sit here and have the same compassion for them as the drug addict What about a sex addict? What about someone's here jerking off in public because they are real horny all the time? They need to have sex. Are you going to go over here and get somebody to have sex with them? Are you going to go over there and suck their dick? What are you going to do? Because they're horny. Oh God, I gotta have sex. I gotta have sex. No, we call them perverts. We call them freaks and perverts. We're not going to sit here and worry about them getting off or getting their rocks off. We're not worried about them because you know why? Nobody told us or nobody's preached to us about those people. Nobody's preached to us that 400 or 500 pound people need to be constantly coddled and given cookies and given shelter, and where all they should have to do is eat and not have to deal with anything but eating. We haven't been told that people who are addicted to sex should be allowed to lay around, walk around naked and just have sex all the time and have sex in public, and everybody should be going there and jerking them off, or we should be paying for prostitutes, or we should be paying to make sure they got a roof over their head and a bed so they can screw somebody in it. We're not told that because there's no movement to tell us how to think about them. That's the truth. And the truth is you guys don't understand. Why is it, this is the real thing here. Why is it always us that has to understand? Because there's no burden on you to understand. Because, oh, you're too sick. Your addiction is so bad that you can't possibly have to think about compassion, understanding. It's okay if you want to go rob an old lady who's on a fixed income and order their money. It's okay if you want to lie to somebody for the 500th time and worry a parent to death to the point that they have a stroke or heart attack, or worry your family to death, or not take care of your kids, because God forbid, we shouldn't judge you for any of that shit because you've got a sickness and you've got a problem. We've got to understand, but you ain't got to understand a goddamn thing about how other people feel or what you're doing to them. That's not your problem. See, that's the thing is, you live in a goddamn bubble where every single solitary day of your life is about you, and self-pity. And you think I'm an asshole for saying it? Fuck it. Delete me, turn the video off. You ain't got to watch it. That's the damn truth. And you ain't never going to see people get off drugs until they tell themselves, I'm selfish, because you don't see them ever worried about serving, helping, doing something for others. Now, when they do, they will try to help other addicts sometimes, most of the time, because they want to be around other addicts, and they go, and eventually they end up being on drugs again because they're talking. All they do is they spend 9% of their life talking about drugs, thinking about drugs. And now, what other thing, okay? What other goddamn thing would you, if you're broke, okay, if you're a broke person and you don't know how to make money, do you go to a broke person to go ask him how to get off, make money? Do you say, hey, I can't make money, I can't manage my money? So you go to a guy that says, hey, I used to be that way. I'm kind of managing a little bit. I'm not wealthy. I haven't done anything, but I'm managing my money, but I'm always going to be a broke person. I'm always going to be this person that can't manage money, but I could kind of get good enough to keep my head above water. What about, food addicts, a sex addict? Like, you can't go around talking about food, bakeries, hanging around people eating fucking snacks. You wouldn't do that, okay? You wouldn't sit here and talk about food constantly if you're a drug addict. But when you get around, I've been to those groups with my loved ones, trust me. They sit around and talk about drugs, talk about when they get away from each other, they talk about and tell stories. They glorify it. Because the thing is 90% of the time they're talking about drugs, and sometimes they'll throw in a God thing. Well, I talk to the Lord to keep me off drugs. Their whole mission is, even when it's God, they got to own that too. A lot of these people use God because then it's like, it puts it out. It doesn't make them focus on their selfishness. It's like, well, God's helping me. I'm low. I'm not this, but they really don't think that. They say that they do a lot of times, but a lot of these people who are addicts that say that, and I'm not saying everybody's that way, but a lot of them are, they use that as a crutch because they sit here and say, well, I've given it to God. So therefore, but if they're not giving it to God, if they're not serving others, if they're just sitting around talking about drugs and shit all the time, because you wouldn't say that with a sex addict or anybody else, or a food addict or anybody else, or a person who can't handle money or any of that. You wouldn't say that to any of those other people. You wouldn't let them get off the hook that way, of where it's just like you can be this and dwell in this all the time. Okay? The problem is you guys don't understand us because you don't have to. You don't have to understand us. You don't have to care. if you spend any time serving, giving back what you've taken. Now, the drug addicts that have, you're the ones that are usually going to get done with drug addiction, but you're not going to call yourself a drug addict your whole life. Most of you guys are going to figure it out. But the people out here that we're supposed to feel sorry for, aka these homeless people taking shits all over California and all these other places, we're supposed to pity them, and we're not supposed to question them because that's judging. Okay, maybe we need to judge. Like I said, they're judging us. They're judging us that we have no problems to the point that we need to be giving them our money, that we need to be giving into them, that we need to understand what they do, even if it hurts us or hurts our family or kills us or stresses us out or gives us heart attacks or gives us constant fucking worry. Then that is not their fault. It's your fault for being an idiot that worries about it, or being an idiot that put up with it, but you still should put up with it, of course. But they'll call you an idiot for putting up with it, while at the same time saying if you don't put up with it, you're judging. At the same time, you don't put up with it, you're a piece of trash because you're not fucking there for them. But it's never about the other person. It's always about them, their feelings, they live in a world where it's always about them 24 hours a day, 7 days a fucking week. It's them, me. They get up in the morning, it's my addiction, my problem, my cross to bear, my shit I got to deal with, and everybody else has to deal with it around me too, and everybody should have pity for me. Me. When the thing is when you say, I know everybody who's dealt with the drug addict said this, they've smarted off you, said, oh, poor you. They always say that to the people who aren't addicts that are taking care of their shit. Like, poor you. Oh, poor you. I'm an addict. And look at you. You're not an addict. You're not realizing I got to get up and go to work. You think I like working all the time and doing all this shit I do? But they act like my life is so great. But you know why? Because I'm having to spend my time taking care of my kids, doing for others, doing what I got to do, paying bills, taking care of people. Okay, my life isn't all about my drug addict problem, me needing drugs. My life is about taking care of responsibilities and shit. But they don't have to do that. They've opted out because they qualified themselves by having. Anybody can say they got a drug problem if they want to, or addiction. Anybody, it don't take that much. Anybody, I could go start taking drugs right now and tell everybody, hey, I'm done with y'all pay the bills. I'm fucking done. And I can go be homeless. But you know what? Nobody's going to feel sorry for me. That's the difference. That's the difference in a drug addict and non-drug addict is drug addicts tend to get pity. And people who aren't addicted to drugs are the kind of people everybody tells you, shut the fuck up and don't get no pity. And I don't get no pity. Apparently, I'm an asshole and nobody likes me. So I don't get that kind of pity. So therefore, I've got to live in the real world because nobody's going to feel sorry. If I'm out here doing drugs for a week, not doing it, say, Tony, you ain't doing drugs? Get the fuck out of here. Here, we're taking a house. Get out. We don't give a shit. Go die somewhere. Okay, but oh my God, my poor son, he's on drugs. He was so gifted and such a good person. He was on the football team. The only way you're going to quit drugs is get yourself about other people. If that takes God, that's fine. I'm not ridiculing that, but I'm ridiculing people who are full of shit about it. If you think that God or higher power, as far as going out here and looking at the service part, the help others part, the selfless part, not about you and your shit all the time. These people who are about God, but it's my addiction, God, my addiction, God. It's, hey, if you're really doing that, if you go out there and nobody even knows you're a drug addict and nobody knows that's a big part of your life and you don't have to broadcast it and then you're helping others and they say, and then like, you get to know somebody, while down the line, say, I used to be a drug addict too. Like, really? I never would have known because you're doing all these things. I wouldn't have thought somebody that was that much of a drug addict would be that, open to doing things for other people. Because once you're around enough of these people, you know what they're saying. So I know. And it's selfishness. And you can call people assholes all day that know the truth. But deep down, I'm right. It's quit. Do you want to not be a drug addict? Quit being about you. You don't want to follow nobody's rules. You're homeless because plenty of people don't have to be homeless. Now, I'm not saying everybody. There's plenty of people who could live under somebody's roof if they could just quit being about their drugs. I'm going to live there, but I want everybody to kiss my ass. So since everybody ain't kissing my ass, I'm moving out. And I'm going to be homeless. I'd rather live in a tent and do what I want every day and not have to deal with life. While the rest of us, we got to deal with life. It's like you too good. It's like drug addicts have become like a royalty class that doesn't have to do the things the rest of us have to do. In their minds, they're like mini gods. They have a god complex. They're kings because they don't have to do shit. We have to go work for them and worry about their needs. And we're supposed to be, when we're not, we're supposed to be worried about them, and they're worried about them. Everybody's worried about them. We're not supposed to worry about anything but them and their problems. That's supposed to come first. That's the shit I get. So maybe instead of worrying about whether we understand you and we judge you, maybe you should quit judging us as marks, idiots, people to be taken advantage of, and look at us as human beings. We're looking at you as human beings when we feel sorry for you or we care about you and we tell you we love you. We're looking at you like human beings. And we're trying to put aside all of our pain and suffering and struggling that you cause and look at you like a human being every day. You know what? You can do it. You can tell yourself that you don't have, but what you say, I don't have an obligation to look at this person as a human being. I don't have an obligation to care about this person. It's not my problem. That's your problem. That is what your problem is. If you don't get over it, eventually people are going to get sick of it. You might find a lot of people trick bullshit and turn into your shit, but eventually your resources will run out. Even if you're a pretty girl, you're going to get ugly one day. There's other pretty girls. Your shit's going to be wore out. People are eventually going to get tired of you. Just remember that, because that day will come. So you're going to have to learn for survival. Pretend like I'm the rehab guy telling this. Hey, I'm from rehab, and I'm going to tell you one way that you think you're going to have to do to survive. You're going to have to learn to give a damn about other people besides yourself. If that you don't do that, you're not going to survive. You're going to be on the street the rest of your fucking life, and you're not going to have anything, and you're going to die alone. There you go. Now, you say I'm an asshole, but that's the truth. That's hard love. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't say it. So you guys can put these memes up and talk about how bad people are that judge drug addicts all day. But there needs to be a little bit of judgment, because there's a lot of judgment coming from them when it comes to the rest of us. Have a great day.